Hello, my name is Ashley Roberts, and today we'll be discussing 3 of the 10 Marzano's guiding questions. So, before we get into that, here is a very brief summary of Marzano's model. This is barely the surface, but it will give you the foundational pieces for his framework for effective teaching. So, Marzano's model is built upon 10 guiding questions. It contains 4 domains. This model is very student centered, and here we have a list of a very few of the things effective teachers implement into their daily instruction. Now, looking at the first guiding question that says, "What will I do to establish and communicate learning goals, track and celebrate student progress?" This question is focused on goals and student progress. A few of the ways that a teacher could implement this into their daily instruction is listed here. So, by having learning goals written on the board, keeping documentation of student growth, and keeping a bulletin board of student growth. So, this is what you see in the classroom. And then we have what the classroom sounds like when implementing this question. Reading the goals, both the teacher and the students, and then the class as a whole establishes norms of how to celebrate student growth in a positive way. And now we have our second guiding question: what will I do to effectively help students interact with new knowledge? This one is, to me, is the most important. It can be a hard question to reflect on, but as educators, we should be seeking out new information and the best implementation strategies to ensure students are effectively interacting with student knowledge, with new knowledge. And what it looks like in the classroom is presenting how to correctly take notes, providing graphic organizers for students, and creating anchor charts with the meat of the lesson rather than the fluff for everybody to refer back to. And what it sounds like in the classroom is asking students furthering questions to encourage critical thinking, offering discussion time for students, and then allowing students to verbally share a couple things they learned from the lesson. And then our last guiding question is, what will I do to help students generate and test hypotheses about new knowledge? This is really about pushing students' understandings of new information rather than just being like, okay, you got it. You really want to ensure students understand the new knowledge. This can be done through centered or student centered or project based learning. And what it can look like in the classroom is the teacher intentionally designing teams for students to work together rather than just groups haphazardly. Exploratory learning, creating a classroom culture where students can rely on one another. And then what this sounds like is in the classroom is the teacher becomes the facilitator rather than the dictator, offering students guiding questions or instructions to facilitate their own learning. And students' discussions are portraying what they've learned from one another and relying on one another. So being like, hey, that's a great idea. We're going to go with yours rather than mine because yours seems like the best route. And here we have Marzano's high yield strategy. It's not necessarily part of Marzano's framework for effective teaching, but it is very important for when implementing effective instruction. So, for example, we have identifying similarities and differences. Whenever this is done and implemented into a lesson, student understanding and comprehension increases by 45%. And all of these percentages, that's what they're explaining. So, now that we've barely gone over Marzano's model for effective teaching, his 3 guiding questions, and his high yield strategies, if you have any questions that you would like to dive deeper into, please let me know and we can discuss those. Thank you.